When I was younger, I was so excited about my future. I would spend hours daydreaming and writing in my diaries about what my life would look like when I was older. My job, my friends, the adventures I'd have, what my house would look like, and of course, lots of daydreaming about my future husband and our love story. My life currently is different to how my younger self envisioned. And whilst some of those differences are understandable, and some of those are due to circumstances outside of my control, there are some ways in which I feel like I let my younger self down. So this year, I decided to create my dream life. There are so many things that make up my dream life, but I'm going to start by focusing on two things. The first is to commit to my writing. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved reading, and from my love of reading came my desire to write. When I was young, I would write stories in my bedroom and then read them out to guests. When I was a teenager and going through my vampire, demon, fallen angels phase, I drafted a 6-book vampire series. And then in my early 20s, I rediscovered poetry and new poets that I really related to and felt so inspired by that I decided to start writing poetry as well. Even while other aspects of my dream life fluctuated, my desire to write has remained constant. I'm currently working in a completely different field, but I've got folders and notebooks and even the notes app on my phone full of ideas that I want to complete. And I do occasionally sit down and write, but I don't make time for it consistently. And while it's okay and even expected actually that as an adult you won't do everything you imagined when you were younger, I feel like this is one of those things that I wouldn't be able to explain to my younger self without feeling like I'm making excuses or letting her down. So this year I've decided to make my younger self proud and commit to my writing. This not only means writing consistently, but it also means being brave enough to share my writing with the world. The second thing is to have fun. I know this sounds like a weird thing to say, but I don't think I know how to have fun anymore. Somewhere along the way, so much of my life became focused on all the things I have to do and all the improvements I need to make to myself. And just to clarify, this doesn't mean that I'm always productive. I procrastinate, I distract myself, and even when I'm doing things that are supposed to be fun, I feel guilty, like I can't relax yet because I haven't achieved enough. But I need to stop feeling guilty whenever I'm not being productive and actually enjoy myself, which sounds paradoxical to my last point of wanting to write consistently, but it's not. I still want to make consistent, meaningful progress towards my goals, but I want to balance that with a fun and well-rounded life. I read somewhere that we shouldn't treat life as a transition period. We shouldn't wait until we have a certain job or a house or a husband before we consider our lives to have started and to be happy and have fun, because this is life. So this year I want to spend less time scrolling, less time in my own head worrying about the future or all of the things I need to do, and instead spend more time doing activities that make me happy and that I don't have to be good at. And in particular, I want to prioritize relationships. I want to spend more quality time with my mum and my siblings, and I want to make more friends. I want to create a community that is good for me and that I can be myself around. So for 2025, I bought a habit tracker and I very excitedly filled it in. I put in a mix of goals. The top one was to work on my writing, and then I also had some other goals in there like fitness and creative stuff and of course being social. And at the turn of the new year, I was so excited about all these things I was going to do every day, or at least alternate days, which is the grace I'd given myself. As it happened, the start of the year did not go according to plan. January and February are usually my least favourite months of the year anyway, but this year they seemed so much colder, darker, and just generally gloomier than usual. Work was really intense. We had an important deadline which required me to come into the office a lot more than usual, which I found exhausting. I would come back home from work and go straight to bed and sleep throughout the whole evening and night, or I would have just about enough energy to scroll on my phone before going to sleep. And I was feeling quite down as well. I think part of it was to do with the fact that I wasn't doing anything fulfilling for myself. I had been so excited for this year. I thought it was going to be my pivot year, and I felt bad that I'd disappointed myself already. I also felt guilty about feeling down. I recently moved into my own place, and buying my own house was such a challenging and frustrating journey. And I remember thinking that once I'd have my own house, I would never be sad again. I would just be happy and be having so much fun. And I felt ungrateful that despite having something that I'd wanted for so long, I wasn't happy or energized or doing any of the things that I'd been looking forward to. But despite what my habit tracker was telling me I needed to do, my body was saying that I needed rest. I know some people talk about sacrificing sleep to achieve your goals, but if I don't get enough sleep, I am so emotionally fragile that there's no point in me even being awake. I can't enjoy anything, not even if I'm doing things that I want to do. So all I did at the start of this year was sleep and go to work and nothing else. But now winter is officially over, and the last 2 months have been a lot better. The days have been getting longer and sunnier, and work has eased up enough for me to make time for, and more importantly, have energy for the gym. And the combination of sunshine and working out has made a world of difference to my energy levels. So I'm not going to feel bad about the fact that 2025 didn't start according to the plan, because I understand now that feeling down and unenergetic is actually a very natural response to winter, and I'm slowly learning to respect the seasons and the effect that they can have on my energy levels. And even though at the time I felt undisciplined and like I was letting myself down, I now think of the positive that I listened to what my body needed and focused on the priorities, which was doing a good job at work and getting enough rest. And now that I have more energy, things have finally started moving in the right direction, and I'm back to creating my dream life. I have been more social and have been making plans with friends. I also finally hosted my housewarming party, which was so much fun. And I've been writing more often. I still don't manage to write every day. There are some days when I meet my writing goals, and other days it just feels like there's too much else going on. So I still need to figure out how to be consistent. I think my next step is to adapt my writing schedule and my expectations to accommodate the other life commitments I have that are also important to me. But I'm sure I'll figure it out. So it might not match the timeline or the pace that my younger self had imagined, and it might not be exactly the dream life that she had planned, but I'm going to create a life to be proud of anyway.